Discover the heartwarming moment at my sister's wedding that changed everything for 200 guests. It was supposed to be a day of love and joy, but no one could predict the magical twist that would grip the hearts of everyone present at Jess and Ben's wedding. Laughter danced through the air, laughter mingled with the sweet scent of blooming roses. The sun fell like a warm hug, casting golden rays on guests decked out in elegant attire. But amidst the excitement, something felt off. A buzz of anticipation whispered through the crowd, sending tiny shivers down spines. Carla, the maid of honor, noticed it first. A strange figure stood at the edge of the venue, nearly blending into the shadows. Clad in black, they appeared out of place, as if they had stumbled from a different era altogether. The music twisted into a sudden silence. Guests squinted and turned their heads, and eerie confusion spread like wildfire. What was the figure doing? Was this a part of the show, or was something much more sinister brewing in the background? As Jess walked down the aisle, a lump formed in everyone's throats. Flashing cameras captured tears of joy, yet those eerie shadows loomed large, casting a strange pall over this supposedly perfect day. The officiant's voice broke through the tension. Was that a tremor? Had everyone else felt the sudden chill? Muffled whispers rippled through the crowd. Do you see that? Then, at the very moment Jess and Ben exchanged their vows, a loud crash echoed from the back. Heads whipped around, sharp gasps filled the air, hearts raced. What now? The figure dropped something. A small box, shining under the sunlight. Was it a gift? A trap? The tension in the air had never felt more alive, electric almost. Everyone held their breath, lost between the sacred moment and the alarming unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the guests resumed their focus, Jess's eyes locked onto that mysterious box. What is that? She whispered, her voice barely audible over the murmurs. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, intensifying the air thick with suspense. Just then, the box burst open with a cloud of glitter, almost obscuring the figure now stepping forth, revealing a face that struck like lightning. Was it someone from Jess's past? Or a portent of doom? The crowd's collective gasp echoed as they leaned in, hearts thumping wildly. What would happen next? The crowd was tense, a pendulum of emotions swinging wildly between joy and dread. Jess's heart raced as she squinted through the shimmering glitter. The figure stepped closer, emerging from the haze. It was a face she recognized, yet the warmth in her chest felt twisted into ice. Is that? Carla muttered, her voice a thread of disbelief. It can't be, Jess whispered, her eyes wide, disbelief mingling with dread as memories rushed back. The laughter, the betrayal, the reason she thought she declosed that chapter of her life. The figure, a woman in her 30s with long, dark hair cascading down her shoulders, locked eyes with Jess. Surprise! She called, her voice dripping with tension. Did you miss me? Gasps rippled through the crowd. The guests shared bewildered glances, wondering who this enigmatic figure could be and why she dared to intrude upon such a sacred moment. Jess's pulse hammered in her ears, every beat echoing against the anxious silence surrounding them. It was Lydia, her estranged childhood friend, the one who left after a messy fallout years ago, the one she never thought she'd see again. Lydia? Jess managed, voice trembling. What are you doing here? Lydia brushed off the glitter and stepped forward, her expression smug. I came to give you a gift, of course. A reminder of what came before. Her gaze flicked toward Ben, who looked bewildered and slightly alarmed. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd as Jess's stomach twisted. This wasn't how her wedding day was supposed to unfold. The officiant looked confused, fumbling with his notes, clearly not knowing how to manage this unexpected interruption. Without thinking, Jess took a step forward, heart pounding. "You need to leave," she said, trying to sound firm despite the tremor in her voice. This was supposed to be their moment, not a trigger for old wounds. Lydia feigned hurt, a crooked smile on her lips. "Oh, but Jess, you don't want to miss what's inside the box." She pointed dramatically to the ground where the glitter still sparkled under the midday sun. "It's all about truth. The truth that you ran away from. I thought you'd want to see." The atmosphere thickened with suspense, the tension palpable. Jess's mind spun, flashes of old fights and secrets she'd buried deep clawed to the surface. What truths could Lydia possibly have? "Open it," Lydia commanded, her tone darker now. The crowd watched, breath held in unison as the box sat ominously at Jess's feet. She needed to think. She needed clarity. "Maybe it's time for everyone to know," Lydia said, her voice dripping with venom. "Know what?" Ben demanded, stepping protectively in front of Jess. His eyes darted between the two women, searching for answers, but only finding chaos. Jess felt a swell of emotions: fear, anger, uncertain loyalty to her past, and the love she bore for Ben. "Lydia, you need to stop this right now." But Lydia only smiled wider, the tension thickening, catching everyone off guard. "The truth is more powerful than you think, my old friend." For a moment, the world was silent. All eyes were on the box, the crowd ready for the bombshell they knew was coming, but couldn't he predict. Jess felt the heavy weight of her past threading through the air like a noose. She took a breath, steeling herself. "I won't let you ruin this day." But as she stepped forward to close the box, her fingers brushed it, and a flicker of chaos erupted. The pain, the memories, and the choices hung in the air like a storm ready to break, and Jess could only wonder what truth lay waiting inside that small, glittering box. Lydia's laughter echoed eerily among the guests. What would come next? Would she have the courage to face whatever truth awaited her, or would the specters of betrayal and heartache consume the moment? The next heartbeat held the answer. Jess's hand hovered over the box, the ornate container glinting like a predatory eyes fixed on its prey. She locked eyes with Lydia, her heart pounding louder than the whispers of the crowd. There was an intensity swirling in the air, thick and electric, and in that moment, everything shifted. "Open it, Jess," Lydia urged, her tone a chilling combination of excitement and malice. "Let everyone see what you're hiding." A knot twisted in Jess's stomach. Memories collided, weekends spent laughing, late-night confessions whispered between pillow fights, all shadowed by the betrayal that had torn them apart. "Yes, Jess," Carla chimed in, her brow knit with concern. "What if it's not what we think?" "You should know." Ben's jaw set, eyes darting between the box and Lydia. "Don't listen to her. She's just trying to mess with your head," he insisted, his voice steady yet laced with an edge of panic, but every heartbeat echoed Lydia's challenge. Jess took a deep breath, the inkling of dread snaking through her veins. Overwhelmed, she knelt slowly before the box. The pressure of countless eyes weighed down on her, urging her toward a path that felt dark and uncertain. "What is the worst that could happen?" Lydia taunted, her smile widening. Jess's fingers trembled, brushing the cool surface of the box. It seemed impossibly heavy, as if the weight of her past was packed within. She needed to know. What lay inside? What truth had Lydia brought back to taunt her on a day that was meant to be about love? "Just open it." Lydia's impatience burst forth, her voice shrill, shattering the fragile silence. With a sudden resolve, Jess gripped the latch. The crowd collectively inhaled, tension palpable as the lid creaked open. Glitter spilled into the air, catching the light like memories flashing by. Inside lay a stack of old photographs, yellowed and dog-eared. One by one, Jess pulled them from the box, her heart racing as she recognized moments frozen in time. Each picture bore evidence of a friendship once vibrant, now marred by secrets. But they weren't just photos. Among them was a letter, folded neatly as though waiting for this very moment to be unveiled. Jess's hands shook as she unfolded it, each word pulling her deeper into the storm of her past. The crowd fell silent, eyes glued to her face, watching every flicker of emotion cross her features. I know you think you're happy now, the letter read, but I'll always be the one who knows the truth about us. Jess's breath caught, as words churned memories that danced between love and betrayal. Lydia's voice began to snicker, cruel and unrestrained. It's time for everyone to see who you really are. Stop, Ben shouted, stepping toward Jess, his presence a shield against the tempest swirling in her mind. Jess's heart raced as she faced Lydia. You think this will break me? I'm not that girl anymore. But you're still so terrified of being exposed. Lydia's words dripped with venom, aimed to wound more than they could heal. Look at you, Jess. Trying to pretend everything's perfect when it's really just a facade. As the truth of the letter bore down on her, Jess faced a choice that stretched beyond this moment. Could she take back her past? Could she own her reality and confront those she'd hurt, herself included? The crowd was shifting, glances exchanged in horror and disbelief. Jess felt the walls closing in, her gut churning with confusion. Just as she was about to respond, the ground beneath her trembled, a powerful boom echoing through the venue, shaking the very foundations of the day. What was that? Someone gasped, tension snapping, drawing their attention away from the confrontation. Lydia's eyes twinkled with mischief. Looks like we're not done yet. Suddenly, Jess wasn't just standing on the edge of her past. She was thrust into a new chaos altogether, and there was no telling where this all would lead. With fear fueling her anger, Jess knew one thing: this was only the beginning, and Lydia's unexpected return turned the wedding into a battleground. What other truths lurked in the shadows, and how would they shape the woman Jess would become? The next moment would unravel everything. The ground shook again, more violently this time, and the sound reverberated in Jess's bones. Gasps echoed from the crowd as bewildered guests stumbled backward, eyes wide with fear and confusion. The once festive atmosphere fractured like glass, laughter turning to a cacophony of frantic whispers. Is it an earthquake? A voice shouted, panic creeping into the pitch. No, it's something else. Lydia sneered, her eyes glinting with excitement. The chaos seemed to fuel her. Can't you feel it? The ground is shifting beneath you, just like the secrets in this room. Jess's heart pounded harder now, each thump a reminder of all she had tried to bury. Just then, a loud crash shattered the ambience, followed by a blinding flash of light that illuminated the hall. The chandelier overhead swayed precariously, casting jagged shadows that danced around them. Ben grabbed Jess's arm tightly, pulling her backward, shielding her as guests scattered in all directions. Stay close to me, he commanded, grounding her in the storm of uncertainty. Lydia's laughter echoed, hauntingly melodic amidst the chaos. You think you can escape this, Jess? Look around. This isn't just about you anymore. The box lay half open, revealing its secrets to the chaos, photographs of laughter and smiles now caught in a horrifying spectacle. They had once represented treasured memories, but now they felt like monstrous reminders of a joy Jess couldn't trust. She wanted to scream, to condemn Lydia's cruel game, but fear choked her voice. Where is it coming from? Carla pushed through the chaos, her face etched with worry. She reached for Jess, desperation in her eyes. What does it mean? The letter, Jess. What did it say? I don't know. Jess replied, her voice breaking under the weight of her emotions, confusion spiraling through her. A part of her was still processing the words, twisting themselves deeper, but now there was something louder demanding her attention. Then, from the back of the hall, a figure emerged, silhouetted against the flashing chaos. The crowd parted as if the air itself had dictated the space. Jess squinted, trying to catch a glimpse of who it might be. Heart pounding, she recognized the stance, the delicate poise fading into the shadows, revealing familiar features that almost felt impossible. Chris? She whispered, disbelief sweeping over her. Lydia smirked, enjoying Jess's shock. Didn't he expect that, did you? Chris, her childhood best friend and the one person Jess had never expected to see again, stepped closer. Emotion flickered in his eyes, mirroring the storm brewing in Jess's chest. His presence, once a beacon of stability, felt like a dangerous tide, both comforting and chaotic. As he reached her, the tremors in the air grew stronger, but it wasn't just the ground trembling. The tension between them was palpable, heavy like the air before a storm. "Jess, we need to talk," Chris said, urgency lacing his tone. "About what?" "You disappeared." She shot back, hurt fueling her anger. She could barely process the cascade of feelings washing over her as he stood there, the memories of shared laughter quickly drowning beneath the weight of betrayal and loss. "Because the truth isn't just in that box," he replied, glancing nervously at Lydia, who was watching with unmistakable glee. "And if we don't deal with it now, everything will come crashing down again." The world around her spun, the thunder of chaos wrapping around them while secrets hung in the air, invisible yet palpable. "Jess, you might not be ready," Chris continued, "but there's no running from this." Her stomach twisted, caught between the frenzy outside and the storm inside. There was no more time for denial. With reality crashing down like the trembling earth beneath her feet, Jess felt the precarious balance of her life teetering on the edge. "What do you mean?" Jess breathed, barely above a whisper, fear clawing at her throat. Just then, another earth-shattering vibration ran through the building, and the lights fluttered ominously. Lydia's grin widened as the crowd gasped, braces for whatever chaos lay ahead. "Let us find out what else is hiding in the dark, shall we?" she declared, sending a chill down Jess's spine, igniting a flicker of dread about just how deep the secrecy ran.as dread mingled with uncertainty. Jess realized this was only the beginning of a confrontation she couldn't avoid much longer. What other hidden truths were about to unfold? The lights flickered again, and a heavy silence enveloped the room, only to be broken by a series of dull thuds from the rear entrance. Jess instinctively stepped closer to Ben, the abrupt fear curling tightly in her chest. "Did you hear that?" Carla's voice trembled as she clutched Jess's arm, her eyes darting around, seeking safety in the familiar faces around them. "Yeah," Jess breathed out, shaking. The tension was almost suffocating, a dense fog thickening around them. Lydia's laughter erupted, slicing through the silence like a blade. "Oh, this is just delightful," she crowed, pivoting to face Chris. "Tell us, what other little surprises do you have? Maybe this time, you should be the one to reveal the truth." Chris's face hardened. "Lydia, I'm not playing your game. We all know what happened last time." He looked at Jess, the urgency in his eyes sharpening. "This isn't just about our past, it's about what's unfolding right now." The more he spoke, the more Jess felt the weight of the box's contents swirling in her mind. What had been forgotten now clawed its way back. This moment wasn't just a reunion, it felt like a reckoning. An ominous crack echoed through the hall as spectators flinched. The air thickened with an unspoken understanding. Something was coming. Suddenly, Jess noticed movement in the shadows, shapes edging closer, blending with the chaos. "Jess!" Ben shouted, pulling her closer, shielding her from a wave of panic consuming the crowd. "We need to get out of here." "No," Jess insisted, her voice rising above the noise. "We can't leave. Not like this. Not without confronting whatever's going on." Chris's face broke into a faint smile, an acknowledgement of her determination. "You're right. It's time to face it head-on." "Face what?" Lydia barked, her expression shifting from glee to annoyance as she registered Jess's resolve. The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation. The crowd swirled, anxious and unsure, but Jess felt tethered to her decision, a dawning sense of purpose igniting in her gut. Just then, with a loud crash, the rear doors slammed open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, mysterious and unsettling. The crowd gasped collectively, tension rising like a tide. "Who are you?" Jess shouted, her voice ringing out, cutting through the air. She felt the heat of fear creep into her cheeks, but pressed on. The shadowy form took a step forward, and suddenly, the lights illuminated their face. Jess's breath caught. It was an unfamiliar face, yet the intensity of their eyes seemed oddly familiar, flickering with recognition. "I'm the one who knows all the secrets," the figure said, voice low and laced with danger. "And I'm here to reveal what you've been hiding." Fear spread like wildfire, igniting in the hearts of those around her. Jess's hands trembled, and she could feel Ben's grip tightening, as if readying to take flight. "What do you mean?" Jess demanded, voice trembling yet firm. The figure leaned in closer, a malevolent smile revealing a secret all too potent. This wasn't just about exposing them, it was about unraveling everything they thought they knew. "Let us play a game," they said, eyes glinting with mischief. "And trust me, it's going to be shocking." Jess's heart raced in her chest. The very walls felt like they were closing in on her. This was it, a confrontation laden with consequences they could never predict. Would she stand strong against the truths about to be unveiled? The crowd's murmur intensified as anticipation hung heavy in the air, charging the atmosphere with a palpable energy. As Jess prepared for the onslaught of the unknown, a singular question loomed over her. What had she truly been hiding? This wasn't just about secrets anymore. It was a battle for her very soul. The tension in the room felt electric. Jess felt the eyes of the crowd bore into her, filling her with a sense of dread. The figure's smile was both captivating and chilling. It was as if they had stepped right out of her nightmares, ready to confront her with the very shadows she had tried to bury deep within her. "Secrets?" Ben's voice broke through the chaos, a mixture of confusion and concern. "What secrets?" The cloaked figure stepped forward, the light fully revealing a face that stung Jess's memory. It was someone from her past, someone she thought was behind her. Memories flooded back, betrayal, pain, laughter twisted into sorrow. "What were they doing here?" "You don't recognize me, do you?" they said, deliberately slow, relishing the impact of their presence. "But I've always been closer than you think." "The game begins now." The words echoed in Jess's mind. "Game? What game?" Her heart raced as the room shifted. People began to move back, creating a makeshift circle around the duo. A palpable sense of fear swept through the crowd as the figure continued to speak. Their tone dripped with menace. "Let us visit the past, shall we?" The figure leaned forward, the intensity of their gaze gripping Jess. "Let us wander through the memories you all wish to forget." With that, shadows flickered and twisted behind them, weaving images as if they were paintings come to life. Events she thought forgotten materialized, a laugh that turned into terror, a promise broken in silence, and haunting faces from her childhood flickered in and out of view. "No!" Jess shouted, clutching Ben's arm tighter, leaning into the safety of his presence. "We can't let this happen." Chris stepped forward, an expression of defiance set on his face. "Enough." But the figure laughed, bitter and sharp. "You think you can stop this? You've all participated in crafting these memories. You've all played a part in this game." As Jess's stomach twisted, she glanced at his eyes. There was a flicker of understanding there. He knew he had been part of this too. "What happened to us, Jess? Why do we keep running?" Chris asked, vulnerability seeping through his bravado. His voice was an anchor, pulling her back from the swirling maelstrom of chaos and questions. "We were young. We didn't understand." Jess cried out, her voice breaking. But youth doesn't excuse the consequences, does it?" The figure's laughter echoed ominously again, silencing the room. Realizing then that their faces were being twisted by pain and regret, Jess felt the weight of her actions pressing against her chest. "Let us not focus on the past," she said, her voice steadier, trying to regain some semblance of control. "This is about retribution for things we can't change." "It's ridiculous." "Ridiculous?" The figure scoffed, stepping back, their eyes narrowing. "You think I'm here just for revenge?" "No, Jess. I'm here to offer you a chance to change everything. This moment can be your rebirth or your undoing." The crowd held its breath, Jess's heart pounding. What did that even mean? Could she even trust this person? "Decide now," the figure challenged, their smile making her blood run cold, the shadows dancing ominously behind them. "Will you face the truth? Or will you flee once more?" Jess felt a cold sweat break on her brow. It was a decision that could haunt her forever. With her voice trembling but fierce, she replied, "Show me." As those words hung in the air, a collective gasp echoed through the hall, and even from the corners of uncertainty, Jess felt something shifting, a force waking within her. The lights flickered once more, casting more shadows as darkness encroached. Little did they know the most shocking revelation was still to come. The room shuddered as the shadows deepened, swallowing the light. Jess blinked, and suddenly they were no longer in the haunting hall, but standing on the outskirts of a sun-drenched park from her childhood. Laughter danced around her, but it echoed oddly, like an off-key symphony playing behind a veil of dread. Jess could feel the familiar weight of unease settling over her shoulders. "What is this?" she breathed, looking around, desperate to find Ben and Chris, but they vanished into the mist. "Welcome back," the figure's voice purred from somewhere behind her. Jess spun around to find them standing just a breath away. While the park remained radiant and colorful, the figures seemed cloaked in shadows, darkness swirling around their feet. "Leave me alone," she shouted, feeling a fierce need to escape, but where would she go? The scene unfolded like film reels, flashing moments of her past happy ones intertwined with glimpses of betrayal and sorrow. "Do you want to remember?" the figure asked softly, their tone unsettlingly sweet. "Let us delve deeper." Without waiting for Jess to respond, they extended a hand, and an image materialized in front of her. It was her younger self, celebrating her sister's wedding, their mother's laughter echoing against the backdrop of joyous music, the sunlight casting warm hues on everything. But beneath that joy, Jess could see the seams beginning to fray. "Look closer," the figure urged, a hint of mischief dancing in their eyes. The scene sharpened. Jess suddenly heard whispers rising like smoke in the air. Words clashed, fears and insecurities hidden in her sister's face, the worry that went unspoken. Something darker flickered at the edges of the memory. Jess's father, once the anchor of their family, now shadowed by uncertainty and resentment. The distant glimpse of a broken heart, the way he turned away from the festivities, leaving a hollow ache that had called to Jess throughout her life. "They're all counting on you, Jess," the cloaked figure continued, their voice lilting. "But how much do you truly know? What sacrifices were made for your happiness?" "No," Jess protested, anguish churning in her stomach. "This isn't about me." "Isn't it?" Their laughter danced with an unsettling grace. "You've skirted around these truths for too long. It's time to unravel the lies." With those words, the park warped. She felt herself drawn into the turbulence of hidden emotions, the vibrant colors dimming into gray shadows. Anguish lodged in her throat, and panic clawed at her heart. What if these memories tainted everything she believed? Suddenly, everything faded to black. Jess gasped, blinded by darkness until a sharp light pierced through. A child stood before her, small and frightened, clutching a teddy bear. Jess's heart seized. She knew who that was, her younger sister, lost and alone, hidden behind laughter that echoed in the park. "Help me, Jess," the girl pleaded, eyes wide with confusion, holding out the teddy bear as though it were a lifeline. In that moment, Jess felt the icy grip of guilt washing over her, suffocating the air around her. I didn't know," she whispered, tears burning behind her eyes. "Then let me show you the truth." Jess felt something snap inside her, a dam of pain breaking open. And as the shadows pulsed with energy, the reality crumbled away, revealing far more than she had ever wanted to face. The figure loomed closer, the smile widening. "Are you ready to begin the reckoning?" With her heart racing and the world shifting beneath her feet, Jess hesitated. Could she really confront the past? I don't think I can," she breathed, the weight of history pressing down. "Then run," the figure taunted, their eyes glinting with malice. "But know this, no matter where you go, the truth will always find you." The words sliced through her, a chilling reminder that the past was never truly behind her. As darkness enveloped her again, Jess felt herself spiraling into uncertainty, knowing that every step took her closer to a confrontation with her own demons. But within the whirlpool of emotion, a flicker of resilience ignited inside her. She had to face whatever was lurking in the shadows of her heart. And with that, she took a breath, ready for whatever awaited her, the question hanging in the charged air: had she finally found the courage to reclaim herself? Jess felt the air crackle as the world twisted around her, a tempest of memories rushing in. All at once, The shadows twisted, coiling and shifting as if they possessed a will of their own. She braced herself, teeth clenched, knowing she couldn't allow fear to take her. The dark figure was still there, observing her with a curious intensity, their presence like a lead weight in the shifting air. "What comes next is entirely up to you," they whispered, taunting Jess as images began to materialize one after another around her. With each vivid scene, she was pulled deeper. There she was, a teenager sitting in her room, tears falling over pages of a diary filled with dreams. Next, she saw her father's fiery temper erupting during dinner, the way it made her mother flinch. Scenes that were buried deep in her mind, toxic and aching, exploded to the surface. "Look at them, Jess," the figure urged, their voice a slithering whisper. "These are not just memories, they are your shackles." Jess winced as those words struck a nerve. "I wanted to help them," she shouted back, searching for strength within the shards of her pain. "I always tried." "Did you? Or did you just hide behind trying?" You retreated into the corners of your mind, shielding yourself instead of facing the truth. The figure stepped closer, their edges blurring in and out of focus, but their words turned solid like knives, digging into Jess's heart. Suddenly, she entered another memory, a family vacation. They were at the beach, laughter ringing through the salty air. Jess's sister was splashing water, wrapping her arms around their father, who seemed alive and warm. But Jess felt the shadows creeping in the knowledge that the dad whose laughter echoed there would soon drown in worries and burdens, smothered by anger. "Don't you see?" the figure urged, growing bolder. "You tried to be the perfect daughter, but the cracks began to show. You were losing yourself." With each memory, Jess recoiled. Each moment was like a shard of glass pressing against her skin. The good times turned dark with unspoken expectations and hidden resentments. She felt the rise of panic, the binds of her childhood squeezing tighter. Frantically, she searched for a way out. "Let me go," she screamed, but the words drowned in the chaotic whirlpool of images. "Not yet," the figure replied, their smirk stretching wider, almost gleeful. "You haven't truly understood what happened. You're standing in the storm without realizing it's already inside you." Just then, everything shifted, the memories lightened, and she found herself back at the park, but now it was drenched in twilight. Shadows clung to the trees, and the laughter had faded into an eerie silence. Jess looked around, trembling. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice reduced to a whisper, barely holding onto the fraying edges of bravery. "Only the truth." The figure leaned in, their face obscured by dark energy. "But first, you must confront the one person who can reveal it all, yourself." The shadows seemed to pulse, urging her forward, deep into the corners of her heart. It was too much. It felt like she was losing pieces of herself. "Can't I just forget?" she pleaded, her chest tightening. "Forget?" the figure echoed, a dark chuckle lacing their words. "No, Jess. You need to remember." Every layer, every wound. They gestured broadly, shadows swirling violently around her. "Otherwise, how can you embrace the light again?" Just then, with flickering intensity, a scene burst forth. She stood across from a reflection of herself, older, wiser, but haunted. Jess's heart raced. What could that version of her reveal? "Are you ready to learn?" the figure asked, stepping back, revealing the shadowed reflection that awaited her gaze. Jess swallowed hard. The truth felt so close, yet so terrifying. She took a tentative step towards her reflection, heart pounding, drawn into the depth of her own soul, questioning if she was truly prepared for what lay ahead. And then, the voice echoed, chilling and familiar. "The moment has come. Will you embrace who you really are?" Jess's breath caught in her throat as she stared into the reflection staring back at her. It was like looking into a mirror that did not simply show her face, but the battle raging inside her. The older version of herself stood with eyes that held the weight of countless lessons learned, scars etched deep but not quite healed. A knot twisted in her gut. "Who are you?" she whispered, guilt tightening its grip on her heart. "I am you, Jess," her reflection replied, voice serene yet firm. "I am the truths you've buried, the words you've silenced. You've hidden from me for too long." No, she hesitated, her words faltering as the memories tormented her, clashing like stormy waves against her consciousness. I don't want what you represent. The figure looming behind her let out a low laugh. You think you can push her away? She is part of your story, just as those memories are. What will you do without them? Jess clenched her fists, refusing to let panic take hold. I don't need the past to move forward. Even as she said it, doubt crept in, gnawing at her certainty. Is that so? Echoed her own voice, the reflection taking a step closer. Then tell me why that night still haunts you? Why when you close your eyes, you can still hear your father's voice raised, filled with rage? Why does your mother's silence tear at you? The air thickened, silence stretching like a rubber band about to snap. Pain clawed at her chest. It felt as if the shadows were dancing around them, feeding off her turmoil. She squeezed her eyes shut, but the images flooded back, vivid and unrelenting: her mother's tears, her father's collapse under the weight of his own fury, their family dinner turning into a battlefield. Enough! She screamed, the echoes of her anguish ricocheting through the twilight. I can't keep reliving this. Then make a choice, the shadow figure urged, a glimmer of excitement dancing in its eyes. Get ready to confront the fear that has chained you. It is time to own your pain and break free. Jess's heart thundered as she felt herself pulled toward the reflection again, magnetized by the truth she'd escaped for so long. But what if I can't? What if facing my past will only drown me deeper? Her voice trembled. Or it could set you free, her older self breathed, wisdom flickering in her eyes. It's time to stop running, Jess. Promise me you will be brave. Promise to confront the love, the anger, and the longing. The walls around Jess trembled, pulsating as if they were alive, and for a moment, she thought of turning away. But deep inside, a spark ignited, igniting an urge to surge forward. I promise, Jess whispered, determination igniting with the promise. The truth will set you free, the reflection echoed, and the shadows wrought a chaotic tension filled with uncertainty, but it clung to hope like a drowning sailor reaching for the shore. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, plunging into the depths of her own soul. It felt like water closing around her, enveloping her in darkness. Yet, beneath the layers of anguish, she sensed a flicker of warmth, a sun breaking through relentless clouds. Suddenly, the dark figure loomed large behind her, its expression shifting from mocking to something almost anxious. What you choose to uncover next, it will change everything. What was hidden there? Would she be courageous enough to face it? Each heartbeat echoed in her ears as she prepared for the truth to surface, an untold revelation that might either shatter her spirit or mend the fragments of her broken past. And then, as her surroundings began to pulse and swirl, a sentence tore through the chaos. Thick with tension, will you finally confront the girl trapped in the memories and learn the secret she has kept? Jess felt everything inside her shudder. The weight of the challenge hung heavy in the air around her. Every moment led to this. I have to know, she whispered, her voice steady despite the thunder of tumult in her heart. She faced the dark figure and her own reflection. I can't run anymore. The figure's smile darkened, their anticipation palpable. Then face what you've buried so deep, Jess. They gestured, almost impatiently, as shadows coiled around them like thick fog, blurring the outlines of reality and memories. Suddenly, they were plunged into another scene from her past. One she tried to forget, the day her father shattered her family's happiness. The table was set, laughter bubbling like soda, when it all exploded. The screaming, the accusations, and her mother's quiet resignation. Jess stood frozen, absorbing the chaos as her 11-year-old self cowered under the table, heart pounding against her ribs. Please, not again, she murmured, tears streaming down her cheeks, suddenly feeling like that child again. The shadowy figure moved closer, their voice smooth and derisive. Relive it. Let the anger and helplessness sweep over you. It's what you've hidden from everyone. Your fear of losing control. That is not who I am now. Jess cried out, desperation clawing at her throat. She turned her back on the scene, clenching her fists. You can't make me feel that way again. Can't I? The figure challenged, their voice filled with malicious delight. You've spent your life building walls around these feelings. It's time they come crashing down. As Jess stood in defiance, she found strength stirring within her. No one controls me. I let the past define me for too long. I'm more than just fear. The memories trembled around her, the shadows pulsing, reflecting her resolve. Very well, the figure retreated into the swirling chaos, giving her space. It suddenly became light, and she found herself standing once again in the park, crisp air on her skin, with her childhood self watching her with wide eyes, hope glimmering amidst the fear. What do I do now? The young version questioned, and it felt like a collective echo bouncing around Jess's heart. It's time to choose, Jess replied, kneeling down to meet the child's gaze. You're safe now. We can confront it together. The shivering child version stepped forward, fingers gripping the teddy bear tightly. You want to abandon me again? The little Jess asked, her voice trembling. I promise. I'm here for you. We're in this together, Jess confirmed, her chest swelling with warmth. Suddenly, the shadows began to lift, weaving into strands of light, and a vibrancy enveloped them. Jess could feel the weighted burdens of her past starting to unravel, each thread of anxiety dissolving in the light. Courage ignited fiercely within her, illuminating even the darkest corners of her heart. Then from the edge of the park, Ben's voice pierced through. Jess! He shouted, urgency thick in his tone. His presence, a beacon of everything good in her life, grew closer, filled with unwavering love. Carla rushed alongside him, concern etched on her face. She turned toward her friends, who stood firm against the darkness. In that moment, Jess realized that the support and love she had now were far stronger than the shadows that wished to consume her. The figure reappeared, their amusement fading, replaced with something almost fearful as they took a step back. You think you can escape me? I'm not escaping anything, Jess proclaimed, newfound strength coursing through her. I'm confronting it. I won't be held captive to my past anymore, and neither will my younger self. As she proclaimed these words, memories of laughter, tears, and bonds forged through hardship mingled within the light, intertwining strands of hope that floated like dandelion seeds on a breeze. With a confident stride, Jess reached out toward the dark figure. You don't own me anymore. In that moment, the shadows began to quiver as if caught in a storm. The figure stared wide-eyed, their form beginning to dissolve in a kaleidoscope of colors reflecting the warmth of love and acceptance around her. You can't be serious, they said softly, almost pleading. I am, Jess affirmed, her heart racing with fierce exhilaration. I will not be defined by fear. I choose to embrace all of me. As those words resonated through the charge of energy, her entire past flickered before her eyes. Moments flooded back, but instead of pain, she felt a swell of forgiveness for herself and understanding that no one was perfect, including her family. With that, everything began to brighten, rending the dark figure into shimmering particles that melted into the air like morning mist. Jess turned to face her friends, their beaming smiles echoing the decision she'd made. She stepped forward, arms opening wide. We did it, she exclaimed, smiling through unshed tears. And in that moment, she felt free. As the sun shone brightest then, laughter erupted from the small crowd of coalitions. A future unfurling before them, Jess knew they had rewritten her story. They were no longer prisoners of their pasts, but writers of their futures, basking in warmth and togetherness. With renewed determination in her spirit, Jess squeezed Ben's hand and turned toward the park that sparkled with possibilities. Let us celebrate love, she declared, eyes shimmering with hope. As the shadows departed into nothingness, she felt the breeze on her face, whispers of a new beginning sweeping her forward. Today, it's about the journey ahead, Jess announced to everyone present. And as cheers erupted around her, Jess felt the incredible promise of what was yet to come. Her heart was full, the love enveloping her, and the past woven into the tapestry of who she'd become. Now, her pledge was for them all, and she would carry it into the next chapter. Remember, friends, if you loved this conclusion, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Flip that like button to feed the algorithm now. Flood the comments section with your reactions and wrap up your theories about this ending. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, we can create a vibrant community celebrating stories that inspire growth and hope.